And then another thing about transitioning out of your parents' home or moving out is now you make your own decisions about, for example, like what church you're going to be going to, and that's a big important thing in your life is figuring out what church you want to go to. Because when you're under your parents' house, usually you're under their rules, so you go to their church. But if for some reason you're not getting what you want out of that church, well, now you have the option to go to another one. And um, I know when we moved to Florida, there's many churches here as well, and I decided to go with the church that Esther was already going to because I already knew people there. I really liked the community, I liked the youth, and I could just see myself getting involved in the church, in the youth, in missionary trips. Esther's dad is a one of the pastors at that church, so um, it would just be really easy for me to get connected, and I just saw myself as a family member of this church. So for me, it was really easy to just step right into this church, move away from my old church. What about for you, John? What was your kind of experience?
Yeah, my experience was we are still looking at a few different churches. Trying to find the right one. But something I recommend for anyone that's looking, so say you move from another state or say you're in the same state but you're looking for a new church, there's a few things that you could do to kind of better understand a church and better understand which one is going to be the best one for you. So the first thing you got to do is watch the lives. You have
Mm,
to watch the lives and
yeah.
to see if you like their worship, if you like their preaching styles, if you like just the way the service is run. If you think that's something that or that's a service that you could actually sit in and
Attend.
or be involved in and
Yeah.
actually grow from it and learn something. So watch the lives um, of all the churches that you're thinking of going to. So it could be like 10 churches, 5 churches, whatever. Watch all their lives from the past couple of Sundays and just look, just observe, see, this is good or this is not good, and keep track of them. And then once you see all the lives and you see maybe you dwindle down your list to like 3 or maybe like 4 that you're like, these are all good. I like these lives. Now take those 4 churches and actually go attend them
Mm,
for
yeah.
for Sunday services. So if that's 4, go the next 4 weeks attend each one of those. And then that's going to be your biggest scope of figuring out if this is the correct church for you. But say you dwindle it down after that, you dwindle it down to 3. Go to at least 2 more services from each church because you can't base the church off of just one service. Maybe they
Right.
had a guest speaker, maybe someone was preaching that you didn't like, but every other Sunday they have someone really good. Or maybe you didn't like the worship this one Sunday, but all the other Sundays you do. So you have to go to at least 2 more services from each church, at least 2 more times.
Yeah.
And then after that, you got to start thinking about, all right, is this a place where I could get involved in? Can I get plugged in somewhere? Is there some kind of ministry that I could get plugged into? Is do they need any help here? Is this somewhere I could grow?
Yeah.
Is this somewhere I want my family to go? Is this
Yeah.
somewhere I want my kids to grow up in? And those are all really important questions to ask. And
I.
um,
Yeah. I.
real quick, through all that, you'll figure out which church is the best, and then you could finally make a decision with you and your family, and whichever church you have the most peace about, it's probably the one you should go to.
Yeah, and a big factor of this is about your family. Um, I know a lot of people from our old church in Washington. The reason the younger families were leaving is because there wasn't much that they saw a future in for their kids. Because um, especially in the Slavic household or Slavic Russian Ukrainian families, our parents speak Ukrainian, our parents speak Russian, whatever it is, and then their kids speak basically a mix of Ukrainian, Russian, and English, but mostly English. Well, when their kids have kids, those kids are most likely going to be speaking English, the majority, and they're barely going to understand Ukrainian and Russian. So if you have a church that is only speaking Ukrainian and Russian, well, you got to think about your kids. Well, your kids probably won't understand anything,
Yeah.
you know? So that's also one of the reasons why a lot of younger couples left from our old church in Washington was because, well, there wasn't much that they were planning in the sense of like English services or um, English speaking preachers or anything like that. So they're like, well, our kids aren't going to understand this, so let's go somewhere where they will understand it. And then another thing is, before you any church that you look into, you got to look at their values.
Oh, that's a big one I missed. Yeah.
I think that's number one. Is all right. Well, what do these people even believe in? If if their theology is completely different than yours, you're not going to grow in that church. You're going to stumble because they're going to be teaching something that's contradictory to what you believe in. So go on their website, find their website, and they usually have a page which is just like our church values. Read through that and see, well, do you even follow these values yourself? And then from there you can decide.
Yeah, that was a good point I really missed. But yeah, definitely look into their values as well. And also from attending their church services, I mean, you'll see if they're saying some certain things that you don't agree with, you're gonna get that feeling. That feeling is gonna be off for you. So, but yeah, that's definitely a huge thing that you should look into.
Yeah, and then make sure you get connected. You don't want to just be a bench warmer at a church, a seat warmer. You want to actually get plugged in, be in a ministry, figure out what you can help with, look at your talents. Are you really good at singing? Join the worship group. Are you really good at videography? Join their media team. Photos, join their media team. Are you really good with kids? Join their Sunday school.
Really
Start
good with
helping out.
teens or youth.
Yeah,
Join their youth
there's
services.
so much to do in churches. I think there's a statistic that, what was it, like 20% of the church,
I think it's lower than that.
lower
Actually.
10% of the church are the only people that are actually doing stuff in the church, and the other 90 just sit there and come on Sundays or something like that. That shouldn't be the numbers that we see. Everyone has a place in the church. Even the old elders, like they're praying, they're prayer warriors, they're discipling, they're mentors. Everyone has a place in the church, and everyone should be doing something.